Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, find a way to win, or you find a way to lose. You can find yourself also not holding your horses and taking it to the stupid. Now look, Gervonta Davis and Terence Crawford, they seem to have a hate-hate relationship. Now we know Gervonta likes to stir the pot. Terence Crawford every now and then, he'll indulge in a little back and forth. But that's not really Terence Crawford's style. But he seems to have fun with being on Twitter and going back and forth with people and some fighters. But the thing is this. A lot of people are saying that Crawford and Gervonta Davis will never fight. And a lot of people say that because Gervonta Davis said, look, there's weight classes for a reason. And I'm a 135-pound fighter, brother. So Gervonta Davis recognizes that him at 5'4", fighting at 135 pounds, to bubble up to 147, 154, 160 could be a suicide mission. But I'm going to tell you this. If Gervonta Davis is no kidding, knocking out middleweights, light heavyweights, cruiserweights, heavyweights in sparring, right? If he's doing that with 16-ounce gloves on, what's the issue with possibly meeting Crawford at 154 or a catch weight of 150, something like that? Now, for those of you who are quick to say it'll never happen, this is a waste of a conversation. To that I say, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. No such thing as a weightless conversation. We haven't reached a dead end. I think the conversation is just starting. Because Terence Crawford has someone in his back pocket. He calls him Turkey. You don't even say Turkey. He's like, Turkey. Well, I'll talk to Turkey and Turkey and Turkey. Turki Alalshikh is probably Crawford's biggest supporter at this time. And Turki Alalshikh is the biggest moving force in boxing at this time. And we know Turki Alalshikh is all about making the best fights, and also, I would say, making, dream fights happen. First dream fight that we saw, Turki had nothing to do with it. I would say was that Pacquiao De La Hoya, just bringing a small guy up and a great fighter like De La Hoya down, and they met at 147 weight De La Hoya hadn't made in years. But he did it, and he looked horrible. Weight drained, exhausted at the end of his career. But he did it. He got the cha-ching-ching. Now, Terence Crawford, I don't think he'll make that mistake if, in fact, the dream fight between Gervonta Davis and Terence Crawford could be comprised. I don't think Crawford would allow them to push a 147 weight on him. Even he talked about how difficult it is to make it. He's at 154 now. And normally when you go up, you don't come down. But I think a catch weight at 150 would be interesting because if Gervonta Davis says he can knock out Terence Crawford, I agree with Terence Crawford. Hey, dare to be great. Bubble up 2 weight classes and come and prove that you can knock me out. Other than that, you're just talking. Crawford's at 154. He's about to jump 2 weight classes to dare to be great. I think Gervonta Davis should consider it. Now, the reality is this. Gervonta's 5'4", 66-inch reach or something like that. Crawford got like damn near 10 inches in reach on this guy. I don't know what all happens in that fight, but I don't think Gervonta Davis is going to get in there and beat Terence Crawford. I think the reach, the speed, the power, everything's going to create an issue for Gervonta, where Gervonta is going to probably not get knocked out. Probably going to just sit there and move around a lot and try to avoid shots. I don't see him closing the gap, being able to get inside of Crawford's reach and put the Baltimore bing-bings on him. I just don't see it. But I do think that fight is probably closer than ever of being made. And the reason I say that is because I think he's hitting below the belt, talking about Crawford's wife and bringing the kids into it. But at the same time, it could just be Gervonta being Gervonta and have a little Adrian Broner in him where, nothing or no one's off limits when he starts his verbal tirades. However, I'm not, naive. I think Gervonta is really cool with retiring, which is he's spoken about, because of that $200 million deal for 7 fights that he locked in with PBC. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. 7 fights, $200 million, and sail off into the sunset. That's in addition to the other money he's already made. I wouldn't blame Gervonta if he said, y'all could all kiss my ass. I'm out of here. $200 million is a lot of money. And for all of y'all, mathematicians out there, well, technically it's not 200 after taxes, etc. You'll get out of here, Einstein. We know McNicholas. Nonetheless, it's a lot of money. But I just would like to see Gervonta, maybe his contract prevents him from working with Turki Alalshikh. We know Al Heyman and PBC. A lot of those PBC fighters aren't really getting the opportunities that I think they deserve, especially when a guy like Turki Alalshikh trying to put money in their pocket. And obviously there's something going on over there at PBC. I don't know. I don't talk to those guys, but get little nuggets of information out here floating on the internet that looks like PBC could be at the end of their rope. So if it was me, I would almost want my fighters to be postured for success if the ship is sinking. But that doesn't seem to be the case over there at PBC. But nonetheless, Gervonta Davis, Terence Crawford, a dream fight, I think would do amazing numbers, and I think there'd be a lot of money behind that, especially if Turki Alalshikh, if he decides, he gets a wild hair up his little Saudi ass and he says, that's a fight I want to see. Because, when Turkey's in the house, every day's Thanksgiving, right? And in my opinion, we'll be giving thanks to Turkey if, in fact, he decides that's a fight he wants to see. Now, let's not forget Turki Alalshikh. He's going through a lot as far as his health. He's not talking about it that much. And maybe they got that Saudi money to where whatever his issues were have been remedied. And if that's the case, round of applause. Maybe they can work on a cure for cancer, some of these other things, because I was just watching something the other day. It has nothing to do with boxing. But Mel Gibson was talking about how he went in for COVID and his gardener or somebody went in for COVID. Anyway, Mel Gibson received the best treatment and he survived. A worker at his house, didn't. Then he talked about a friend of his who went in with cancer, stage 4 cancer, and with some kind of treatments, they were able to cure the cancer. So what I'm getting at, back on boxing, maybe Turki Alalshikh has that kind of money and influence and has the right doctors to where whatever his medical issues were, concerns were, maybe they were able to fix it. I don't know that. I'm just saying he's not talking that much about that health anymore. But if he still has the health concerns and his health is deteriorating, I could see him, depending on what happened with Crawford and Canelo, and especially if Crawford wins, there'd probably be a rematch with Canelo. But anyway, if we get into next year and Gervonta's still around and Crawford and Canelo have had their fights, if he develops an interest in that bout, I think it'd be great. But to come out here and just say, if you ask me if you had to put money on it, who do you pick? I'd have to pick Crawford. Don't get me wrong. Gervonta has a chance, a puncher's chance, if he can, like Teddy Atlas says, if he can cross the goddamn dangerous neighborhood, which would be Crawford's jab and long arms, and get in close and try to break out them windows and bang the body and do things. But I just don't see any. No one else has been able to do it. But Gervonta is an outstanding boxer, outstanding athlete. But like they say, a good big man beats a good small man. So I would have to say Crawford beats him. But it would be very interesting because, Gervonta is explosive as hell. If Gervonta had arms were a little bit longer, then maybe it becomes a bit more interesting. But I just have a tough time going against Crawford. I think he'll do Gervonta like Gamboa. Gervonta may even land some shit and have Crawford doing a little stinky leg. But, I don't know. I just think Crawford gets him. But if these guys want to sit here and poke Crawford in the eye They say Crawford's a bum, Crawford hasn't fought nobody, Crawford doesn't have a chin, Crawford this, all these negative comments about Terence Crawford. Well, what I would say is to those fighters is, once you going up, it would have been 3 divisions for Crawford. And we know he's after the money. Like, I'm not delusional. Crawford's after the money. He said he's after the money. But don't for one second think he's going to get up there against Canelo and not let his hands go. If he does that, that means there's something about Canelo that we fail to recognize. Even the Canelo's staunchest supporters. That means there's something there that even they didn't see. Because you just can't make me believe, out of all the fighters, that Terence Crawford would get in the ring and just not try to win. You can't make me believe that. It's not like Terence Crawford is fighting Usyk. Even if he fought Usyk, he would try to win. Now, if he was threw him into a goddamn lion, I mean, it's different. He'd probably be assholes and elbows, hauling ass, trying to jump the fence or climb a tree or whatever the fuck he'd have to do to get away from that lion. But that's a lose-lose. Fighting these boxers with got 2 hands like them and breathe like them and bleed like them. There's always a chance. That's why I always say, you find a way to win, you find a way to lose, and the best boxer doesn't always win the fight. It's the fighter who boxes the best. And that's why I say Gervonta, yeah, I don't think he beats Crawford, but you never know. Crawford bubbling up and fighting Canelo, you never know. Crawford fighting Usyk, I mean, you never know. Throw him in there with a goddamn crocodile, Crawford loses. Anyway, Gervonta needs to come on up a couple weight divisions. If you're going to keep talking shit about Crawford, bubble up a few weight divisions and challenge the man. A catch weight or something at 150 be great. Maybe Crawford comes down to 147. I don't know. I doubt it. But if the money's right, and Crawford's all about out here making the biggest fights possible, the most money, maybe he does it. But I'll tell you this, Gervonta ain't doing it. Gervonta's sitting where he's comfortable. He don't want nothing to do with 140, although he fought Barrios, rehydrations and all that. But you know, it is what it is. He won't go to 147, which I think he can beat some of those guys at 147. But like Gervonta will say, when it comes to him, the weight class is for a reason. I'm 135 pounds. I'm not 130, 140. This is where I belong. But when somebody is challenging himself and trying to be great, then you want to come and poke him in the eye? I think that's corny. Anyway, Gervonta is a solid fighter, so is Crawford. But it would be nice to see if those two could come together and get it on. Anyway, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.